Hi there my fellow yogis, it's Harry Kalymnios from ThoughtGym.com. Welcome to today's class, which is a slow to crow. Just made that up, hopefully that works. Basically, we're going to have a slow warm-up progression into crow. So crow will be our pose that we're going to work towards today, and let's get started. So we're going to come onto our hands and knees into our tabletop position. I had a complete memory lapse there for a second. We're going to warm up firstly with cat and cow, like we often do. So inhaling, gazing towards the front, dipping the belly down, tilting the tailbone back. Exhale, round through the spine, chin to chest. Okay, so a few warm-ups in your own time, inhaling and exhaling, just to warm up the spine a little bit. But then we're also going to start incorporating a little bit of alternative movement here. So we're going to round through the hips, bring the hips back down, start doing any movement that works, maybe bending into the elbows a little bit. Keep it a bit free and flowy. Okay, then a couple of things that we need to think about when we're doing crow, and what we're going to be working towards is the mobility and the strength that's going to be needed. So part of that we're going to do is warming up the wrists. Okay, so warming up the wrists, we want to start rocking through the wrists. We're going to put a lot of pressure on these wrists today because of what we're doing. So we want to make sure they're properly warmed up. So creating circles, maybe making slightly bigger circles, and then you start the other direction again. Start nice and small as you start shifting the weight over into circles. Shoulders coming over the fingertips and hips coming back down to the heels and back into the centre. Then we're going to take our fingertips to the edges of the mat, so our thumbs are pointing forwards, and then again take small circles in one direction, gradually getting bigger and bigger until you start bringing the hips back down to the heels. And you decide to go in the other direction and warm up that way, okay? Again, getting gradually bigger and bigger with each circle. And then we come back to the centre, and then we take the fingers as much as we can over towards our knees. And now this might be enough for you. You might want to rock forwards and backwards, you might want to go left and right, you might want to even take some circles here if you can. Good, and then the other direction. And just flattening out the back of the hand, and then the other hand. Good, and then we're going to just walk our fingers round again, and then we walk them back to the front. Okay, so warming up quite a lot here, and then come all the way round circles the other direction. Good, and then coming back to the centre. Okay, we want a bit of strength in our fingers when we do crow, because our fingers are going to help us balance forward. So here we're going to come into our fingertips by pushing up and back down. Okay, so pushing up 10 times. So that was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Other one we're going to do. This is a little bit tricky, but on our fists, again we're still on our knees, we're going to open up our fists, and then our backs of our hands are going to come down to the ground. Okay, so we open up, we come down into a little push-up, and then we come up. Okay, so we come down, and we come back up. So you come from a closed fist to open fist to elbow to backs of the hands on the ground, and up. Down, and up. So we're doing a push-up on our knees, on the backs of our hands. Okay, this can be quite strong. You might want padding underneath. We might want to bring the knees closer, or if you're super good with this, you can do it in a full push-up position. Good. and then releasing back down. Next one, keeping the elbows locked out. Our spine is neutral here. What I want us to do is bring our chest down towards the ground without bending our elbows, and then we push into a dolphin on our back. So we push down and up, down and up. Again, knees are down here on the ground, keeping it nice and easy. Good. Really loosening up, opening up the upper shoulders here. Okay, done a few like that. Then we're going to do a few in plank position. So from the dolphin, upper back here, lower down and up. Okay, so we come down. It's like a push-up, but without actually bending the elbows. We're only going down as much as we can with the limitations we've got. Okay, good. And then coming back and finding your way into child's pose and bringing the hands by the feet, allowing the upper back to open up a little bit more. Okay. And then bringing the hands forwards, making our way into downward facing dog. And then having a little pedal through the feet here, finding our position for downward facing dog. Okay, from downward facing dog, rolling through high plank. Lower the knees down towards the ground. Now this is going to be part of our training here for strengthening ourselves for crow. Keeping the elbows over the wrists so that the elbow doesn't come back and the elbows tucked in towards the ribs. This brings us down slowly into our prone position. Inhale into our cobra position and lift the hands off the ground, placing the hands back down and tucking the chin, rolling back through child's position and then downward facing dog. Okay, so let's do that again. We roll through to high plank, bring our knees down. Now the reason I'm focusing on this is because a lot of people bring the elbows back like this when they come down through their half chaturangas. What I want you to do is shift the weight forward. It's going to put a lot more pressure and build up a lot more up here. But that's what you need, or that's one of the things that you need for your crow. So you have to bring your chest forward slightly. See the elbows staying over the wrist. It's putting a lot of pressure through the upper shoulders here. But this is like your crow position, right? This is what you need. If you only train back here, you won't get to that crow position. So coming down, inhale into your baby cobra or slightly higher cobra, lifting the hands off for a second or two, placing the hands down, tucking the chin, rolling back, child's pose, and then downward facing dog. Yeah. Okay, we're going to try that one more time with the knees, and then we'll move on. Roll through, high plank, knees to the ground, elbows stay tucked in towards the ribs, over the wrists, lower down. Inhale into your baby cobra, high cobra or super high cobra or even upward facing dog, and then rolling back through your child's pose, finding your way downward facing dog. Good. From here, bending the knees, looking between the hands and stepping or floating to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold down, bending the knees, rolling up, vertebra by vertebra, arms coming up over the head, engage glutes and thighs, exhale, Dandasana. Okay, so really important when you want to do your crow, you want it to be nice and strong here, but you want strong here, but you also want a doming of the back, so we're going to look at that now as we do our push-ups. Okay, so it's going to be super tough, but it's going to help you immensely. So inhale, arms up, exhale, swan diving all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, placing the hands back down, and then step or float back to high plank. So high plank could be something like this, but what I want to see a little bit more of is a doming at the top of the back. So rather than sinking down or having the hips down, there's this cobra hood It's rounding behind the bra strap line. Okay, that's where we are rather than here. Okay, so where we were in our warm-up. Okay, so from here, let's come back and take a break in downward facing dog. And we're going to roll through to high plank, remembering this cobra hood position, and then we lower down, bringing our shoulders down towards our elbow height with our wrists underneath our elbows, and then we're going to push back up into this doming position. Okay, so 2 more times. You can always do this on your knees if you need. Okay, 2 more times, keeping the elbows tucked in towards the ribs, elbows over the wrist, coming down, shoulders come to elbow height, push up, and then remember the doming at the back. Okay, coming down, and then pushing up, and doming, and child's pose. Good, and then relaxing your child's pose. So I think I was in child's pose while I was in downward dog, but you know what I mean. Release the hands. Good. And the other thing we want to look for is Dolphin. So this is not my favourite at all because my shoulders are not as open as I'd like to be, but this is a good one. Different options. We're going to bring our elbows into like a triangle position with our hands clasped like this, and then you can stay on your knees. Okay, this is an option, and bring the chin forwards, beyond the hands and back. Okay, so this is a nice one to begin with. Again, if you can't get all the way down there, you just start where you are. That's fine. Otherwise, you come as far down as you can. If this is too easy for you, you tuck the toes and you come into like a downward dog legs. Bring the feet in as close as possible to the hands, and then you come down like this. So we do 10 of these. Okay, so that was 1. So 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And knees down, and release, child's pose, hands by the feet as you release the upper back. Roll it up, finding our way into tabletop position here. Okay, knees underneath the hips, shoulders, elbows, wrists in a line, and inhale forwards, exhale, gaze back. So we just open up the spine like we did before, and then also open up the upper back like we did before just taking a moment, closing the eyes, focusing on the breath in tabletop position. Okay. From tabletop position, we are going to come into high plank. From high plank, start getting used to the idea of your knees coming up towards your elbows and towards your triceps. So bringing the right knee in towards the tricep and then back. Left knee, left tricep and back. Right knee, right tricep and back. Left to left and back, right to right and back, left to left and back, bringing the knees back down, taking a rest. Okay, so how do we want to get into crow position? The way that I'm going to teach you, there are different ways to do this, I'm sure. Fingers nice and spread, slight. We're using our fingers to stop ourselves falling forwards. The key here, as we come into the position, is to bring the feet behind the wrists, bring the heels up and knees in towards the triceps. Okay, now the problem I see a lot of the time in classes is people going too fast too soon with this. So we're going to take this piece by piece and then see how you get on first. Okay, so hands underneath the shoulders, so hands shoulder width apart, knees in, toes up. This is all you're going to do. Okay, that's your position, that's your starting position. Your gaze is around 6 to 8 inches in front of you rather than directly beneath you. Okay, so it helps to have a focal point there so that you don't then fall down, because if you tend to go where you look. So if I'm looking down, I'm going to fall down. If I'm looking forwards like that, I'm going to be able to transition forward. The other thing I find a lot of people try and do is this. They're trying to bring their legs up, their feet up. We don't want to bring our feet up. What we want to do is bring the hips over, so the hips will be the centre of gravity here, over the other point, which is going to rest underneath that centre of gravity, which is our wrists and our elbows. A lot of people may teach it with the shelf and the arms, and that's fine, and mine will bend as I go, but I like to get into it from a straight arm position first, tucking the knees in towards the chest. Then I shift the weight forwards. Now what I'm doing to shift the weight forwards is not focus on anything but moving the hips forward really. That brings everything else. Okay? And that's what you're going to do, is you're going to rock forwards and back, keeping the toes on the ground. Okay? That's it. You see how the elbows are bent? Of course you can do this with the straight arms, but it links a little bit more into the wrists here, okay? So it's just a shift forwards and backwards, forwards and backwards. Then we're going to try one foot and then the other before we attempt to do anything else. So again, hands nice and spread, fingers nice and spread. Shift the weight forwards and then lift one foot, bringing the heel in towards the bottom, lower it down, other foot and lower down, and then maybe that is where you end up staying. That's fine as well. The other thing we need to do when we're going to get into the full position here is, if we remember our position in here, we don't want this position on our back. We want a round in that cobra hood, because just like in a cathedral or anything, like the strongest shape that it can do to support the weight is an arch, not flat. Flat will collapse in, and arch keeps things strong. So we want to create a rounding. So if we're trying to get into crow and our shoulder blades are together like this, and we try and get into crow, we're going to collapse. If we try and get into crow and our shoulder blades are rounded like this, we're going to be much, much stronger. Okay, so we want to focus on the rounding. Obviously we've built up the strength here from the kind of push-ups we were doing. And then we're ready to shift the hip weight forward whilst looking 6 inches in front of us. So there's quite a lot to think about, but with any luck, this will work. Okay, so we bring the knees in towards the triceps, we engage the fingers, we shift the weight forward, we look 6 inches forward, and we allow the legs to float up. So we don't pull the legs up, the legs float up. We round the upper spine as much as we can, and we are able to stay in that position. Okay. How have you got on? Okay, give that another go. I'll be with you every step of the way. So remember, it's a rounding of the spine here rather than a compression here. Okay? Then you're not trying to lift your legs, you're just allowing it to be like a lever as it comes up, whilst looking 6 to 8 inches in front of you. That is going to help be a bit like in an aeroplane, where they use the instruments to guide them to see their level or the horizon. That's what we're doing here. Okay, let's try that one more time. Our strong pose here. Shift the weight forward. Again, if you're just shifting the weight, that's fine. Otherwise, you can start to allow things to float up here instead. And then from here, if you want, you can try and jump back into chaturanga, upward dog or cobra, and then roll back, downward facing dog. Good. And let's just release down onto the ground and lie on our backs, releasing the back slightly here, bringing the feet to the edges of the mat, knocking the knees in together and windscreen wipering the knees, releasing a little bit of the lower back as well. As we've done quite a lot of work here, we're going to just take a nice couple of twists so that we can release a little bit of the spine. So rolling up to sitting, straightening the right leg, straightening the left leg, sorry, crossing the right leg over, coming into just a seated twist, easy twist, flex left foot, lower shoulder blades down the back, looking over the right knee, the right shoulder even, don't know what I'm talking about today, as you keep both hips glued to the ground, and then take a counter pose the other way as you open up the other way, twisting that way. From there, crossing the right left leg underneath, left leg over the right, and taking an easy twist. Okay, flexing the right foot, both shoulder blades down the back, and releasing, taking the counter pose the other direction, and then releasing, bending the knees, chest onto the thighs, and then just edging the feet forwards, keeping the contact between the thighs and the lower back. So really rounding the upper back and the lower back here after what we were doing before. Good. And then coming into Dandasana. So removing the fleshy bits from your body, spine straight, active L shape in the body here, gazing forwards. Good. And then from here we're going to release, lower back, roll down to the floor, and then bring both knees in towards the chest, and then as you bring the knees in, push them away, making circles like you're stirring a pot. So we're stirring outwards, so we pull in towards the face and out, so or in towards the chin, out towards the sides, and then afterwards we go out towards the sides and come in, so we take the reverse direction with this stir. Okay, this is good for the hips but also good for the back, the spine. Good, and rocking forwards and backwards a few times, just massaging out the upper back. Before we make our way into our Shavasana. So coming back onto our backs, feet flop open, palms face the sky, 6 inches away from the body, neck long, shoulders relaxed, leg relaxed, breath relaxed. Wiggling the fingers and toes, or staying here as long as you want. Rotating through the ankles and the wrists from one direction and then the other direction. Bringing your feet together and your hands over your head to the floor behind you, stretching the right side of your body out, banana shaping yourself over to the left, and stretching the left side of your body out, banana shaping yourself over to the right, and bringing the knees in towards your chest, hugging yourself tightly, telling yourself something nice about yourself, even if it's you gave crow a go for the first time. Of course, it's totally normal to fall. We have to fall so we can learn to get back up. So if you fell, that's all good, okay? And then bringing yourself into the fetal position on the left or the right, hands create a pillow, eyes closed, attention inwards, and then floating your way up to sitting on your mat, any comfortable seated position that works for you. Bringing your hands into prayer position, offering yourself a little bit of gratitude for your practice today and maybe offering something out to the rest of the world. Bring your hands into prayer position in front of the forehead, the place where our pineal gland is located, where a seat of intuition is. We ask that we have the wisdom to watch our thoughts. Lowering our prayer towards our mouth or our throat chakra, we ask that we have the restraint to watch our words, especially when dealing with other people, but also to be mindful and compassionate about our own internal dialogue. And finally, lowering our hands towards our heart centre, we ask that we have the strength and courage to do whatever is right and necessary, even when it's not the most preferred or desired path. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing along with me today. A slightly different class from usual, with a little bit of focus, a little bit slower to get into that. Keep persevering with it. It took me 4 years or more of practicing yoga before I even attempted a crow, let alone mastered it, so it's all good. Please do connect with me on social media. The Thought Gym is where you'll find me. Plenty of videos and inspirational messages all over there, as well as head into thethoughtgym.com where you can connect with me further still. So until next time, have a fantastic practice, a fantastic day. Namaste.